Cognitive theory. The theory that underlies cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, teaches that our beliefs influence our emotions and behavior. Beliefs are those firmly fixed associations that we make between a situation and outcome and are reinforced by repeated personal experiences. Especially when an event triggers distressing or unpleasant outcomes, our brains try to find reason or logic behind the experience. It is natural human inclination to attach meaning to situations in order to develop predictions should a similar event occur again. Thereby, our core beliefs are like a set of rules that become deeply rooted in our attitude and personality as they instinctively guide our reactions to triggers in our environment. With repeated outcomes, negative outcomes, the participating event is attached to negative beliefs that give a sense of meaning to the experience, while also serving as a cue and instinctive reaction in the future. Therefore, at the time, beliefs are meant as defensive or coping mechanism until further heard. But the way of thinking is often illogical and unrealistic. We tend to internalize explanations. For example, it is happening to me because I am worthless, unlovable, unattractive, helpless, etc. They exaggerate their prevalence and consequences. For example, it happens all the time. Is it in the world? I can't trust anyone. In the 1950s and 60s, Albert Ellis, an American psychotherapist, developed rational emotive behavior theory that explained dysfunctional behavior in terms of irrational thinking and feelings that are consequences of the instinctive interpretation of real or perceived situations. This laid the foundation of his ABC model of psychotherapy that later became the central principle of cognitive theory. Initially, the ABC model focused on the way of activating event. A, triggers beliefs that present as habitual thinking. B, these thoughts cause emotions and feelings that have the sole purpose to motivate and cause a reaction of behavior seen as a consequence. In turn, the resulting behavior is received by others in our immediate environment and causes feedback. In terms of negative or dysfunctional behavior, the feedback is mostly also negative, which is perceived as punishment or that our negative beliefs are confirmed as valid. Therefore, negative beliefs that give rise to dysfunctional behavior also tend to be reinforcing and self-sustaining. In fact, a deteriorating cycle of distress is often a result from which is difficult to break free. It is exactly the premise and objective of cognitive behavioral therapy to apply a systematic and standardized process in order to interrupt such a cycle by identifying and correcting the incorrect thinking patterns and the beliefs that underlie it. Therefore, core beliefs can lead to helpful and unhelpful thinking, which determines the nature of the emotions and feelings that are generated as a result. Such negative core beliefs are most often associated with repeated distressing experience in our past. Although such defensive or survival mode thinking may have served a purpose at the time, it can easily become out of sync with our reality and our true identity later on, and continue to exert great harm on ourselves and others in our lives. Therefore, in CBT, thoughts and feelings are very important signals to how we interpret and react to certain situations. By identifying and understanding those thoughts and thinking patterns that are unhelpful, the patient is empowered to challenge them and eventually reject them as illogical and unrealistic. Eventually, Ellis extended the ABC model to the ABCDE concept by including dynamics of intervention to manage negative beliefs and thoughts. Process step of disputation D, an integral element of the CBT protocol, was included to challenge a client's irrational beliefs by creating awareness and reflection of their meaning and consequences. The last step is to replace the old negative beliefs and habitual thinking patterns with new, more positive and functional beliefs and thoughts in response to an activating event. Eventually, the idea is to short circuit the instinctive reaction process by eliminating previously held unhelpful beliefs and its resulting distressing emotions and dysfunctional behaviors. Thereby, in the presence of an activating event, adversity, new helpful beliefs are utilized, which cause more adaptive and functional, emotional, and behavioral responses. So, for example, A, the activating event or adversity; B, the beliefs about the event or adversity; C, emotional and behavioral consequences; D, disputations to challenge irrational beliefs; E, effective new beliefs replace old irrational beliefs. According to Albert Ellis, irrational beliefs stem from the following three major rational belief clusters. I must do well and win approval for my performance, or else I rate as a rotten person. 2, others must treat me considerately and kindly in precisely the way I want them to treat me. If they don't, Simon the users should severely blame, damn, and punish them for their inconsiderateness. 3, conditions under which I live must get arranged so that I can practically everything I want comfortably, quickly, and easily, and virtually nothing that I don't want. Aaron Beck, considered the father of CBT, formulated these types of most common cognitive distortions that follow: black and white thinking, thinking in either extremes; making unfair comparisons, usually in the negative and jumping to conclusions; filtering, honing in on the negative, forgetting the positive; personalizing, the self-blame game; mind reading, thinking we know what others think and fortune telling negatively; 6, catastrophizing, imagine the worst case scenario; 7, overgeneralizing, I always mess up; 8, confusing fact and feeling, if I think this or feel this way, then my thoughts, feelings must be correct; 9, labeling, I'm a loser compared to, for example, I made a mistake; and the final one, can't stand itis, being unnecessarily intolerant and underestimating one's own ability. By understanding each of these types of rational thinking, the therapist is able to guide the client to identify his or her unhelpful thoughts and develop more positive alternatives.